was one of my most anticipated figures for a long time. I remember when I first saw the prototype, how excited I got, and then seeing it painted, I was over the moon. For those of you who don't know, Bloodborne is my favorite video game of all time. I'm a big fan of the FromSoft, Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Bloodborne, Souls type games, but this one perfected the formula for me, and I found it to be the most enjoyable of all of those FromSoft installments. Is the hunter in his blister pack. He doesn't come with much, just the saw blade and the pistol, but I still think he looks great, and he doesn't necessarily need a ton of accessories to be a good looking Figma. And here he is, out of the plastic. I think he looks really wonderful. Tons of detailing on his outfit, the vambraces, the chain, the buckles, knife holster, the boots, the wear and tear on the edge of his cloak. A very well painted and detailed Figma. And here is the saw blade, also wonderfully detailed. Oh, wonderful. I actually used the saw blade for the majority of my first playthrough of Bloodborne. Occasionally, I would switch to the Donatrix or threaded cane, depending on the enemies I was fighting. Once I beat the DLC and got my favorite weapon, the Rakuo blade, which is Lady Maria's weapon, I used that for my second playthrough. And here is the gun, also wonderfully detailed. I also used the hunter's pistol, I think, as my firearm weapon for the entire game. Once or twice I tried using the cannon, I believe. I think I used it on Eprietis just because she was such a hard boss. But I found the pistol to be trusty and reliable, especially for parrying. So right now, he just has his little fists. Not a very good weapon for fighting beasts. What I loved about Bloodborne, compared to the other FromSoft games, is I felt that, while yes, it is difficult, like all FromSoft games, it was far more fair and really helped the player to put them in a position to succeed. There were certainly parts where you needed to grind, or perhaps even revisit old areas to try to find weapons you might have missed. But by having the hub world of the Hunter's Dream, and being able to purchase items or, bullets or more blood vials, you could go back and try to really finish what you couldn't in terms of optional areas, optional bosses. And I never felt as though I was hitting a wall. I've even had friends play Bloodborne who have never played Dark Souls before or Demon Souls. And even though they all said it was very challenging, they never gave up and definitely found that they reached a point where the game, really not helped, but it didn't become so difficult or so much of a chore, and that things were challenging. My apologies if there's an odd cut. The hunter's arm with the saw blade decided to just fall right off. Another thing that I think that makes Bloodborne such a fantastic game is its world and story. The art and world design is just simply fantastic in Bloodborne. I've never felt so entranced by a video game world before. All the details, the storytelling, the items that you find and discover, and the simply wonderful way the story unravels, starting as a sort of gothic horror and becoming an eldritch horror. There's also just so many interesting characters, enemies, boss fights. I find the lore to be so rich and interesting, even compared to Dark Souls. But him in a slightly more action-oriented pose. My favorite area in Bloodborne is the optional Canehurst Castle area. I love the snowy, derelict, abandoned castle with all of its ghosts. It reminds me a little of Castlevania in a way, weapons that have a ton of range. It tends to be my weakness in terms of boss fights in Souls-based games. It was in fact one of the only bosses I had to summon help on in the main game, the only other one being Ebrietis, but I find that most people generally summon help for her. She's just so difficult. There we go. Getting the saw blade to stay can be a little tricky. Fully extend our trick weapon. Have him jump into action a little more, as it were. I would love it if they could make extra weapons for the Bloodborne Hunter. I doubt that would happen, but it would be fun to be able to give him whatever weapons you used for your run in your build. I absolutely cannot wait for the Lady Maria Figma that's going to be made. I believe they announced it last February, maybe the last Winter Wonder Festival. Lady Maria is my absolute favorite character in all of the Souls games. Her boss fight is so cool and amazing and difficult, and I just think she's so cool. Perhaps the hands will be interchangeable, and you can put her weapons with the hunter, or vice versa if you felt like it. That would be really cool. Since this Figma doesn't have that many parts, but I also don't want this video to be terribly short, I have a little extra Bloodborne surprise. I have here a absolutely wonderful Blood-Borne Art Scene. The pre-order for it included this very cute saw blade sticker. A little thank you from the artist. Echoes of blood. What I love about this zine is it has comics as well as artwork. By several very talented artists. huge lover and supporter of fan-made collaboration zines. I have a good collection of them, and I just love to support small artists. I have several just original art scenes as well. This here is actually a Bloodborne comic. Thank you to my friend Carlos, who found this at the comic shop that lives right next door to him. Awfully lucky if you ask me. This short comic contains an original story, not related 100% to the main story. Interesting art nonetheless, though, and a fun little read if you're a big lover of Bloodborne. I actually like this cover very much, this pen crosshatch edged look. All in all, this is a very wonderful Figma. Yes, it doesn't necessarily come with a lot, but the great level of detail more than makes up for that. I'm also just so happy to have another piece of official Bloodborne merchandise. The only official things I have are this figure, the art book, and a Lady Maria limited lithograph print. It hangs in a special place of honor above my fireplace. Even if it was a sparse figure, I hope you enjoyed this video and have a wonderful day or evening. Bye-bye.